It's cold!
Guess he's too used to the beach.
Hey, Islander, what can I say? Huh? Look, even the sea's turning to ice. Wow. A walking, talking snowman! You really are alive!
Hello. Olaf, are these your friends?
Nope, never met him. Don't know anyone blue, green, or who's oddly spiky.
Ah! Ah! Yeah! Whoa! Give me strength! Whoa! Yeah! Ha! Take this!
Look out!
Oh. That's amazing. You can control ice.
Control it? No, all I ever do is hurt people. This is my home now. I can't go back. I don't want to hurt anyone.
Herc! Look out! Oh!
Things they don't really mean, oh, you're only everything I ever dreamed.
Roxas does exist. His heart's inside my heart.
The other Twilight Town is just data.
So what will Elsa accept? Light or darkness? I know I want to know.
Well, good for you, but guess what? I won't let her fall to darkness.
This Keyblade.
Is that?
Mickey. You're too late.
What is going on, everyone? Now, how's that for an intro? God, that game looks so good. Now, today is going to be an interesting one because I have a lot to talk about. It's going to be 3 or 4 different documents, videos, and my own sort of personal notes, dating all the way back to E3, if you guys can think that far back. I have some opinions and top 10 lists of my personal favourite games that will be coming for the rest of the year, and hoping that it may spark some discussions with everyone. I'm going to be throwing out a lot of questions, a lot of intrigue that I'm hoping everyone will pick up on and respond to, because since my last video a lot has come out, and unfortunately I haven't been able to keep up with everything because I've been on holiday, and unfortunately I left the final day of E3, so I did miss the Nintendo press conference, which I was extremely disappointed about. But unsurprisingly, there was 50,000 different ways of catching up, mainly through IGN that I used to keep track through everyone. I basically kept going back to the IGN streams for all of the press conferences, as they seem to be the most reliable, and the discussion seemed to be the most in-depth in between press conferences, so I've basically just found them the most interesting and the most detailed. So we're going to be jumping through the timeline quite a bit, jumping back quite a lot, through the months, let's say back to E3 and to the most recent news, because as I've found, there actually hasn't been any major stuff out for Kingdom Hearts since E3. There's been little tidbits of people finding odd theories and whatnot, but I think it's going to be interesting to discuss. But so I'm going to be using a few documents, as well as the trailer of Kingdom Hearts that looked just absolutely gorgeous. So if anyone has any games that they want to talk about after my sort of main discussion, I'll be more than happy to cover any other games. Any games that I even haven't heard about that people might just be passionate about, I'll be more than happy to discuss. But for now, the main topic that I want to talk about, as I need to catch up on, is Kingdom Hearts, primarily Kingdom Hearts 3, and a little bit of the story of what could be happening for the future of Kingdom Hearts, as it may not end too well for some people. I don't want to be throwing out any massive chunks of false information, but some of the information that I'll be throwing out isn't confirmed, but highly likely, and will be surprising if it doesn't happen. But as I say, take it all with a grain of salt. Not everything I say is concrete. Most of these discussions will be fueled by theories and opinions and hopes from other people, and I'll be covering whether I agree with them, disagree with them, how much I do, and what I hope will be coming up in the future. So for now, I want to keep on the Kingdom Hearts 3 topic, but kind of on a sour note, unfortunately, as the first thing I want to be talking about is any possible deaths in Kingdom Hearts. Again, this is all speculation. This is all not hopes, but kind of hopes, because personally, I think something like major deaths is something that Kingdom Hearts could honestly do with. It's ironically been babying the audience, but also not, because the depth of the story itself of Kingdom Hearts is massive. It's incredibly difficult to keep up with, and you have to be incredibly devoted to keep up with it. And if you're not, you will just fall behind, unfortunately. But that's something that some people are debating about Kingdom Hearts 3, that it seems actually to be one of the easiest to just pick up and play, which is ironic considering it should be the ending of quite a lot of people's stories. So it's going to have a lot of information wrapping up that people should already know, but the way that they've plotted it, it's got little bits of information for those fanatics that are going to blow people's minds, but it's not massively heavy that it's just unplayable for those who don't understand what's going on. So as I say, unfortunately we will be starting on a rather sour note, but again, theory, not everything I say is concrete. Say this is not mine, but it's actually quite a solid read, and it got quite a few things going in my mind that I wanted to discuss and get feedback from other people, because see, this is written by one person, being responded to by one person, so it's incredibly limited. But if I can get it out to the community, that people can actually start talking about it, hopefully, as with my other videos, we might actually get a discussion going. But we'll see. So for now, there's a speculation that Nomura has teased possible deaths, but covered up in the sort of concept of some characters may never appear again. So it never went down the sort of direct route of this person will die, because it is Disney after all, and people don't do that in Disney. Using someone like Goofy for an example, obviously he was never going to die. But the way, if it was an adult game, then he could have easily died in that situation. But even then, it would have been a very silly, very kid-like death. That he got hit in the head by a massive boulder, flew back completely unrealistically, where he would have just been crushed, and then poof, he magically wakes up just in time to save them when they need it. So it's all very caring, it's all very light. So that's one of the reasons why I feel like a death could do some good for Kingdom Hearts. Really wake people up, and sort of embrace the seriousness that the story could have, because the whole premise of the game is that it's light versus darkness, and darkness is supposed to be absorbing people. It's taking over their minds, their lives. It's actually no pun intended, a dark story. But even the way that they're covering it seems very childlike, because it's all Disney. It has to be bright and colourful. But I feel like, as this picture shows, which is going to be one of the major scenes of the game, it gets a bit dark, both literally and figuratively. But let's start reading. Let's see what Chandler has to say, or Chandler, and see how much we agree or disagree with it. So it begins with obviously reaching out to the people who may not know what this document may be about, by saying, if you don't follow Kingdom Hearts lore, don't worry, you're not alone. Unfortunately, it is a very small but devoted audience to Kingdom Hearts, so there's a very good standing to start here. There are a lot of people that are just excited by the idea of fighting side by side Donald, Goofy and Mickey and other Disney characters without having any idea what the hell is going on. Couldn't agree more. That is literally the entire idea of Kingdom Hearts 1, which is why people get into Kingdom Hearts 1 in the first place. They look on the back, they see Goofy wielding a shield, Donald wielding a wand, literally murdering things, which as a kid you look at that and you think that is badass. The major step up from Mickey Mouse Clubhouse to suddenly fighting alongside these Disney characters who are literally murdering things. I feel like that's one of, if not the first and only thing that gets people into it, and then they actually start playing it and realise that the game is really good. If you do have an inkling of an interest in the complex story and deep characters the series has introduced, however, a recent interview with director Tetsuya Nomura may hold some alarming teasers. US Gamer began their massive interview with Nomura by asking about Kingdom Hearts 3 being the conclusion of the Dark Seeker saga, and how he feels about leaving that story behind. So that's one of the major plot points of this story, that these first three games, the major games, Kingdom Hearts 1, 2 and 3, are considered to be a trilogy. There are going to be more in the future, but they aren't going to be about the same thing anymore. In case anyone wants to possibly get into this franchise, to then follow straight through with Kingdom Hearts 3, I don't want to spoil anything major, but there are going to be a lot of spoilers in this, so if anyone watching this doesn't want the game spoiled for any reason, then you are warned. But basically the major concept is that it is a trilogy, and the main enemy of the first two games and what will be the third game won't be in it in the future. something, we don't know what, but something is going to happen to the major bad guy throughout the trilogy to stop him from appearing again. We have to find out in the future. Initially, Nomura says he is neither fully happy nor sad. Yes, it does come to an end, he says, reiterating that Kingdom Hearts 3 is indeed the ending of the story he is trying to tell. It's his next bit that might make some fans fear for their favourite characters. Now this is where it gets interesting. Although I do feel a little sad when I think some characters will probably never appear ever again. Once I think about that, it makes me a little sad. This is what we mean by they never use the word death or killing, but to never appear ever again, something has to happen, whether they go on their own journey, whether they pull a Pokemon and these sidekicks just go their own ways and they're all happy, they're all safe, and they just live their own lives, or the opposite or not. But it's all speculations or theories, and there's a lot of probablys. It's when I think some characters will probably, there's a lot of speculation even in Nomura's quote himself. It's like he almost doesn't know. I'd imagine he's probably just trying to keep it to himself and not giving too much away. He doesn't want to straight up say 100% that some people won't be coming back, which is obvious, which is understandable for obvious reasons. But on the other side, he does, as I say, seem unsure himself. That it's almost like the story, obviously the story isn't finished yet, so even he doesn't know where it might go, which is incredibly interesting for both the audience and the developers. So he goes on to saying, what could Nomura mean? Is he simply talking about moving on to other character arcs? Or is he teasing the deaths of some fan favourite characters? The concept of life and death within the Kingdom Hearts universe has been fairly nebulous, but when you dive into the details, it is definitely possible for characters to die permanently. Could not agree more. As I say, the whole idea of the light and dark, the dark absorbs people. The whole point of darkness is to just completely take over. So whether you can compare that to death in itself is one thing, but it's almost like without getting too sort of spiritual, it's like a possession. There are some theories of possessions where a spirit will possess a body, completely removing the life within and just control a sort of shell. And then when said spirit leaves the shell just lies there. So it could be similar to how the darkness may work in this. But if there's any time for grand sacrifices or moments of gravity, it's the final entry into a twisting and knotted series that has 3 numbered entries but 9 total games required to understand the full story. If you play 1, 2 and 3, you'll end up pretty lost. That's very, very true. Unfortunately, that is the case where, as I said, you have to be very committed or completely lost, which is a real shame. While this is the end of the Darkseeker saga, that doesn't necessarily mean the end of Kingdom Hearts. We could definitely see the series and concept carry on with new characters and ideas for mashing up Final Fantasy characters with Disney worlds, but it's clear certain characters won't be making that journey. Which characters? We don't know. I imagine it wouldn't be any major ones, but we'll have to see. And before they just like completely kill off Kairi, Sora, Riku, like something happens to them, they get into a gummy ship crash and all die a slow and painful death. that would be a twist to Kingdom Hearts, but that would certainly scar some children. After years and years of waiting, Kingdom Hearts 3 is finally on the horizon. Earlier this month, it was revealed that the long-awaited title releases in January 2019, and we actually managed to play the game at E3 this year, so we can verify that it is indeed real. Yes, 100%. It is the 29th of January, I believe. January the 29th, 2019. Easy to remember. Mark the calendars. It is 100% coming, 100% confirmed. So I'm gonna leave the concept of character deaths to the comments. Share your opinion. If you think this is all just unnecessary speculation, or if you think things might actually get a bit dark in Kingdom Hearts 3, let me know. So I think segueing on will be that now that we have confirmed that Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out on the 29th, we should cover how to get a physical copy. There are plenty of bundles that you can get your hands on for multiple consoles. You can get multiple copies on multiple consoles with the amount of bundles that are here. They're all pre-order bonuses that you get certain things with, so let's just jump straight into it. The first one is, of course, just the standard edition. You just get the game, that's it. It's $60 everywhere, but it seems like the best place to get it would be Amazon Prime, because that takes it down to $48. But that is all you get, just a simple disc with the game, nothing more, nothing less. Next we do have the deluxe edition. That's where it gets more interesting. With this you get the steelbook case to go with the game to help protect it if you really care about it that much. You get a collectible pin, which seems good quality, but I've always found that collectible pins are unfortunately quite unnecessary. I have nothing really to do with them. But one thing I am incredibly interested in is the art book. I always find the concept arts fascinating. I got an old concept art book for Borderlands quite a few years back, but the amount of times I've read it, even though there's nothing to be read, it's literally just pictures. I find it incredibly interesting to see how it gets to where it is from where it came from. And because Kingdom Hearts 3 will be incredibly good looking, I think it'd be very, very interesting to see where that came from and the steps it took to get there. Yes, 2019. So that would be $80 everywhere. Doesn't include a Amazon Prime. To reduce the price, it is just a base $80, unfortunately. So you'd have the game, so the steelbook case, the collectible pin, and the art book are $20, which I think is incredibly reasonable. Now this gets a bit more hardcore. For $150 more, for $230 in total, you can get a deluxe edition, which will come with everything from the base deluxe edition and 3 Bring figures of Sora, Donald, and Goofy. All 3 figures appear to be in their Toy Story World garbs, as each appear to be more toy-like than collectible premium statues. This bundle will be available exclusively from the Square Enix store, so that is why there is only one. You can only get them from the Square Enix website, because they're exclusive. There's nowhere else you can get them, and if you don't pre-order them, then I would like to say you're never going to get them, but I'd be very surprised if people aren't immediately selling them online. But so you'd get the deluxe edition with the figures basically. So the pin, the case, the art book, the base game, and these 3 more action figures rather than statues, which will obviously be incredible quality because they're basically $150 statues or figures. So they have to be damn good. And the final one you can get is the Kingdom Hearts 3 all-in-one PS4 Pro bundle. Now this is speaking more to me. This is what I'm looking at. A limited edition PS4 Pro bundle with every Kingdom Hearts remake and Kingdom Hearts 3 has been announced. The bundle includes all 3 PS4 bundle games, Kingdom Hearts 1.5 Remix, 2.5 Remix, and 2.8 HD Final Chapter Prologue. Currently it's not available for pre-order, but when it goes live, yeah. So you can just straight up get yourself a PlayStation with this. Right now you can get your hands on the all-in-one game bundle from the PlayStation Store for $100. Kingdom Hearts 1.5 Remix, 2.5 Remix, and 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue will be available immediately, and Kingdom Hearts 3 will download upon release. So you can get this right now, and 1.5, 2.5, and 2.8 will immediately be on the console, or at least available immediately. I'd imagine there will be codes and whatnot that will come with it that you just have to input and get the game with it. And then on the 29th you'll be able to immediately download Kingdom Hearts 3 upon release, which the Xbox, the PlayStation itself doesn't scream expensive, it doesn't scream luxury, but it does scream exclusive because you also get the controller with it, which you can see the sort of very slight details of the Kingdom Key there. It's obviously covered in keyblades and Kingdom Hearts symbols and whatever, but this would be ideal for me, so I'll definitely be getting this. So that's a quick coverage of the bundles. Again, if any of you are planning to get one of these, which one and why, and how excited for you for the PlayStation if you are, because these are the 2 big bundles. So majorly if you're getting the figures or the PlayStation, let me know. I think it'll be really interesting to do some kind of head count and see which bundle is getting the most attention. I'd imagine it will be the standard edition, but we'll see. Give some feedback. And finally, before we go into my personal notes, jumping back to E3, we have a document from David Lazada that was today. I believe it was posted about 2 hours ago, so very fresh, very up to date. So he'll be covering the demo that he's mainly played and any positives and negatives. I had a very quick brush through, and I appreciate how real he actually is about this. He's clearly a Kingdom Hearts fan, but he doesn't beat around the bush. He says what needs to be said. He not insults, but covers what needs to be covered. So let's go into it. The toys are real. The main couple paragraphs here he goes into just how good the game looks, which I've covered quite a few times in my videos, that this game just looks clean. So he says, the demo I played allowed me roughly 15 minutes with the game's Toy Story world, titled Toy Box. What's perhaps most apparent from the get-go is how gorgeous Kingdom Hearts 3 is. The comparisons to Pixar movies you've probably heard of are definitely warranted. Little details like light gleaming off metallic parts or grass floating into the air really adds to the immersion. So far, it seems as though the game runs at a stable frame rate too, as I notice no technical issues. That's obviously very solid. I have to see how any latency issues have been covered, because one thing that a lot of people who played the demo a while ago when it first came out was they said there was some real latency problems, that there was a slight delay from, say, moving the analog stick to Sora actually moving, which hopefully has been covered. Sound design is equally impressive, as chops and blasts feel crisp, though Tom Hanks and Tim Allen almost assuredly aren't reprising their roles as Woody or Buzz Lightyear. Their stand-in voice actors do an excellent job of convincing the player that these are indeed the toys we've come to love over the years. In this case of Ham and Rex, the difference is particularly unnoticeable. That's also something I've heard, that people have nothing but compliments for the stand-in voice actors, which is very reassuring, because obviously having the lack of Tom Hanks and Tim Allen could have hit the Toy Box world hard. It could have hit Buzz and Woody incredibly hard, and could have completely ruined the immersion. But from what I've heard, there's nothing but compliments, so good job. Now, this is where he goes a bit downhill. So we're going to be sort of jumping through as he sort of discusses most the negatives of having too much. So let's see what he says. After a brief cutscene, I was thrust straight into the action with some Heartless in Andy's room, which is part of the demo that we've all seen. My biggest gripes with the demo arose here, when an overwhelming arsenal of gameplay options was at my disposal. Suffice to say that combat is crazy in Kingdom Hearts 3. Sora can switch between Keyblades in the midst of battle. This gives him access to a broad range of transformations and special moves that show up in the form of in-game prompts. By building a gauge in Toy Box, for instance, players can convert the protagonist's Keyblade into a hammer. Continuous use of this allowed me to transform my weapon into Disneyland's teacup sword, dragging enemies in only to fling them back out again. So this is one sort of comment that he continues to make through the document, which a lot of people have been making since the demo, that Sora seems very strong. The difficulty of the demo was lowered, so it was meant to feel easy, but they're almost saying that it felt too easy, because obviously they were giving Sora a lot more mechanics, because that's the whole point of a sequel that's meant to be bigger and better. So Sora has a lot of abilities now. But the comment that keeps coming up is, does he have too much? I don't want to cover too much of that because it's pretty self-explanatory. So those of you who have played it, let me know. And of those of you who've seen it, let me know what you think. If they've gone too overboard with it, or if it's just right, or if you think he needs even more, if he's still too weak. So very quickly, that's kind of what he covers by sort of Master of None, style over substance. It looks very, very good. It feels very, very good, but nothing really feels that good. Lovely wallpaper there. If you want to know about that, let me know and I'll fill you guys in. That's from one of my holidays. Feel free to ask. So back in the day when E3 came around, I made some notes. This is going to have a lot less to do with Kingdom Hearts in general. This is just every single game that I personally was looking forward to, that sort of caught my eye, whether I heard them or not. And I'm going to be very quickly just sort of ploughing through these, covering the names. Obviously you guys can be reading this while I'm talking anyway, but this is the list that I created from things that caught my eye. So any sort of responses that you guys have, let me know. Any of these games that you're looking forward to, maybe make a personal list or put down which games you're most looking forward to, that you would pay a lot of money to have it right now, and any games that you think look like absolute trash, let me know. So E3, sorry, started strong with the EA press conference. There weren't too many games because there's a lot of footage for each game, which was good. So you could definitely make a solid decision on whether you liked the games or not. But there wasn't a lot of games, so unfortunately I did only manage to sort of enjoy 5 of them, which is Unravel 2, Sea of Solitude, Command & Conquer Rivals, which I actually saw on the Play Store yesterday. As I was downloading some new apps, it is there in the Play Store now, which is very exciting. And Anthem, which is a big game for EA on the press conference. And the possible, this is an interesting one, let me sort of just cover it. The possible development of a Way Out 2. This was a very loose way of me sort of reminding myself that there is almost certainly not going to be a Way Out 2, but the way that the people talked about it, the developers talked about it, that there was such a massively positive response to A Way Out, that the way they discussed it, they very heavily hinted that they're going to be using the feedback from A Way Out in some other project. Most likely not A Way Out 2, but I put it there to sort of get myself excited because I played A Way Out and I thoroughly enjoyed it. If only it just wasn't so short, considering I played it with my girlfriend and we got through it in 2 days, which sucked because we were sort of fully immersed into it and ready to play for weeks and weeks. But it's unfortunately a very, very short game, but a very, very solid one. So the main one of that list is Anthem. That looks incredible. It looks very, very good. Looks like, dare I say it, a better version of Destiny for me. Like or dislike the video because of that statement, but it's a massively free world game. It's like Destiny crossed with Monster Hunter, but with more story from both of them. So Anthem seems actually amazing, so I'm thoroughly looking forward to that. So that was the first day of the press conference, and then it was followed up by the Microsoft press conference. Now, as you can see, there's quite a few more names on the Microsoft press conference section. Things like Halo, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, some Gears of War things, and some oddballs like Captain Spirit, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, We Happy Few that's coming back, and one of the biggest, if not the biggest reveal of all of E3, Cyberpunk 2077. That has insane hype that will hopefully deliver. Speaking of hype, Gears of War 5. That's a huge game. I'm thoroughly looking forward to Gears of War 5. I'm a massive fan of the Gears of War franchise, as well as a possible, well, a mobile app for Gears of War, which looks clean and quick, not some basic mobile app. Hopefully they can get the mechanics right, otherwise it will flop, but we'll see. Gears of War Pop Vinyls are out now. They've managed to jump onto the bandwagon. The new Tomb Raider is going to be a big one. Massive fan of the Tomb Raider franchise, always has. So that has some major hype, and I hope to God that it's going to be good. I'd be incredibly disappointed if it's not. Now, Forza Horizon 4, that was an interesting one for me because I don't like Forza. Again, like or dislike, but I don't like it. I'm not a huge fan of driving games in general, but the way that they're taking Forza Horizon 4 in, with a lot more global interaction, with a lot more multiplayer, that says something to me. That's a lot more interesting to me. When you can actually drive around a massive free roam world and actually come across people and just like suddenly trigger races and challenges and stuff with people around the world, that's a hell of a lot more interesting to me, rather than just following a basic track. As soon as you put Forza on a racetrack, which obviously is the main point of it, so what I'm saying sounds ridiculous, but as soon as you put it in a track, it kills it for me. So now as soon as they've taken Forza out of the track and put it in the open world, I'm a lot more interested. Kingdom Hearts 3, obviously, January the 29th. Ori, one of the best looking games ever, in my opinion. I think Ori in the Blind Forest was gorgeous. I think it's one of the best looking games. Not the best games, but one of the best looking. I think it's actually stunning. So that was then followed with, obviously I'm not covering all of the games, because there are some games that aren't all personal. I was watching this with some other people, so they pointed out, but as I say, if you notice any games that I do cover or don't cover that you want to then discuss as well, let me know, and if there's enough of you, I'll make a second video for it. But we're going to jump to Bethesda. Now, Bethesda was an interesting one because it was one of the biggest in the sense of the most sort of emotion, but one of the smallest in the sense of games. They had 4 major games, which is Rage 2, Fallout 76, The Elder Scrolls Blades, and Starfield. I'll go very, very quickly cover The Elder Scrolls Blades, if people don't know what that is. That is a mobile app, again. That is basically, it looks identical to, it's just The Elder Scrolls on the phone. It's got just as much story, it looks just as good, it looks like a solid app. I will most likely be downloading it for time killing. If it doesn't require Wi-Fi, I'll be playing on the trains back and forth to uni. But Fallout 76, my little note there of multiplayer, again, I don't like Fallout. I really don't. I don't think it's a good game until they bring multiplayer in. I'm all about the multiplayer. The fact that they've now put Fallout 76 in a open world PvE, PvP kind of game mode, that you can actually interact with people, that you can destroy the bases, you can team up, you can launch nukes at each other. That's interesting to me. I'm not a major Fallout fan, but I'm hoping that can turn it around for me. And Rage 2, in typical Rage fashion, it came out guns blazing at the press conference. It was loud, it was colourful, it was obnoxious, and it looked good. Now, Square Enix was a big one for me. Square Enix have made some of my favourite games of all time. Things like Tomb Raider, Final Fantasy, and Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 3, obviously, being my favourite franchise of all time. Final Fantasy being a very, very strong second. So any kind of Final Fantasy game I'm interested in. I played Final Fantasy 15, and I think Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 2 are the two best games I've ever played. Final Fantasy 15 shocked me. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. And a very I was going to make another unintentional pun there. A very sneaky game, sneaking into the list there, The Quiet Man. If you guys want to know more about it, have a look, or mention it down below, and again I'll put it into another video where I'll discuss it more in depth. But the Square Enix was a short but very, very solid press conference for me, as well as Ubisoft. 3 games, nothing amazing, or nothing, not a long list, but a solid list. Beyond Good and Evil 2, Skull and Bones, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I didn't. If anyone asks, I didn't write the list. My girlfriend did, and yeah, she wanted to put her point across on Skull and Bones and Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that she thought Skull and Bones was cool. But she was reasonably disappointed, as was I, with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I know it's not spelt right. I just didn't want to correct it. Coming out on the 5th of October, that it didn't seem assassiny enough. Because obviously the era that they're going into now, it's more wars. It's very combat and very war based, rather than being a sneaky man or woman and taking people out from the bushes. It's now gathering an army and just fighting head on, which personally I don't feel like that's what Assassin's Creed or Assassin's Creed in general is about. It's not wars, it's assassinations. I'm Skull and Bones. I'm incredibly excited for, because it basically just looks like an improved version of Assassin's Creed Black Flag's ship mechanics. And Assassin's Creed Black Flag was one of my favourite games. I thoroughly enjoyed Black Flag. I thought it was absolutely incredible. My favourite parts of the game was the ships. So an entire game, multiplayer game made about that. Sign me up. And Beyond Good and Evil 2, a lot of hype, a lot of success. But the footage and the demos that I've seen so far haven't filled me with excitement. But I know from past success, I have faith. And I'm sure it's going to do well. And finally, we have the Sony press conference. As I mentioned before, I did unfortunately miss the Nintendo press conference, but I can cover that as I'm doing now if enough people want me to, or if anyone wants me to. I can cover that as well, but for now we shall wrap up with the Sony press conference, which had a lot of solid names, all the solid names: Last of Us 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Resident Evil 2, Kingdom Hearts 3, Death Stranding, and Spider-Man. I'm going to be saying this a lot, but The Last of Us, one of the best franchises I've ever played. I think it's very, very good. Naughty Dog are very, very good at telling a story. So I just know The Last of Us 2 is going to be, or Part 2 is going to be a solid game. Nothing else to say about it. Ghost of Tsushima, that surprised me. I knew nothing about it before E3. I kind of caught wind of some demos and had a look at it after E3, and I watched the trailer of E3, and it seems solid. It seems like a very solid game. I don't know if it's going to be solid enough for me to pay full price for it when it comes out. It'll most likely be probably 40 quid. So I don't know how likely I am to support it, but it seems interesting. And the last one I cover is Death Stranding. Now that's an interesting one, because no one seems to know what the hell is going on yet. The footage that's come out just seems to be confusing people more and more. But it will be a very interesting experience and journey to find out, to fill in all the gaps of what the hell that baby means. As the information seems to be revolving around that baby, they seem to be protecting it a lot. The characters seem to panic when they drop it, and whenever it seems to wake up, bad things seem to happen, or things seem to happen. But for now, I think I'll leave it there. If anyone answer any of the questions that I've thrown out, have any feedback whatsoever, if you agree or disagree with anything I've said, let me know. But until then, thanks for watching and have a great day.